So what I will do now is we'll create a new Azure Blob Storage connector, but it will authorize using the app in Active Directory. Right? So what we need to choose is, of course, the connections type is cloud. Then the storage account will fill in later. What we need to do is we need to choose from common to tenant specific and then fill in tenant ID, client ID, secret, and the access key. Access key is still required for this specific blob because when we call generate pre-signed URL, we need the access key to actually pre-sign this URL. It's not possible to do with just client and secret. So first of all, before I create the app, what I have done is I created a user. So I went to my Active Directory and created a user that's called storage user. It doesn't have any kind of access rights or access roles. It just can log in. And the reason is that when we create this app, so let's create the app, Workato App Storage, we'll need to provide a web redirect URL. So how you find it, go to docs for Workato and look for callback. This is the callback. I'll just paste it in here and hit the create button. So now we have the client ID. Just paste it in here. And then we also need the tenant ID. We'll paste it in here. So make sure you just select this tenant specific. So now we need to create secret in the access key. So the secret is just generated from this secret. And then the access key itself, that is from the storage account, because that's the one that will actually encrypt the URL. Okay, and then of course we need the storage account name. So there is one more last thing that we need to do. So now when we hit that login button or the sign in, right, in here, it will try to authenticate as a user, right? Because how this works is that we will need to give access, of course, to our app, which it didn't do. So we need to go here, add permissions, and then select Azure Blob Storage and then user impersonation. That's the only option you really have because you need to go through delegated permission. So this is authorization code, and you cannot just do a code grant here. So we just hit OK, and then we will accept this with our grant admin consent, right? There is another thing, however, you need to do as the last thing that I have discovered on Stack Overflow is that for one reason or another, you need to give another permission specifically for that user that is called Storage Blob Data Contributor. And how you do that is you go to here, go to Access Roles EM on the storage account itself, and then hit this Add Role Assignment button. Find the role that is called Storage Blob Data Contributor. Select the member, the storage account that I created, because that's the one that will be logging in, and then review that and then assign. And here's like all my permissions that I have right now, right? So I have granted the storage data blob contributor, but also the owner. We can remove the owner just to make sure we have the same thing. And then there is also the queue data contributor, which we can remove as well, just to make sure we have the same, have the minimal permission set right now, right? So this is the minimal required for this actually to work. Okay, so now we're ready to actually hit this login button and then log in with the storage user, you know, like the one that I just gave the permission of this storage blob data contributor. Right? And then once you see this connected, it is connected. It doesn't mean that it actually will work correctly. So the last step is, of course, test it out. So here I created an extremely simple recipe that will grab some sort of a file from Drive or from SharePoint or from whatever, and that will upload it using action from Azure Blob Storage using upload blob. I will use the connector that I created, which is this Azure app, and then I'll upload it as a test.txt with the file content and the settings. I just leave it as default. But again, so now it seems actually that it works, right? So if you don't do this last step, which is giving the EM permission, you get error 403, which says something like access right not in sync or something similar. like, which is probably what they talk about here. They get this permission mismatch if you don't do that. I hope this was helpful. This is how you set up the whole thing like one from scratch. Finally, maybe what we can test quickly is Azure Blob Storage pre-signed URL. So let's do generate pre-signed URL for demo container, and the blob name, for example, the test.txt, and then the permission we can do is just read permission. So if we just rerun the job quickly with the same file, so we'll just upload the same file again, and you see it will generate a pre-signed URL, which you can use to send either to another app, or, well, you can just download the file itself.